Hi, my name is Chris Rupp and I'm from the Guitar Training Camp. Welcome to our new YouTube series called How to Strum Guitar. In this series, we're going to have three different types of rhythms. We're going to have beginner rhythms, intermediate rhythms, and advanced rhythms. In this first lesson of the series, I thought it would be cool to take a beginner rhythm, change it a little to turn it into an intermediate rhythm, and then punch it up a little and turn it into an advanced rhythm. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the first beginner rhythm. Alright, so first let's take a look at how to play the first rhythm. So I'm going to use a D chord throughout all three rhythms. So you're going to play that, you're going to put your first finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret on this A right here. Then you're going to take your 3rd finger and put it on the 2nd string 3rd fret on D. Then you're going to take your 2nd finger here and you're going to put it on the 1st string 2nd fret on F sharp. So you put it together. For the D chord, I mean, you'll see most books are going to suggest you just strum strings 1 through 4. But what I do is I use my thumb to mute out the 6th string, and then that way I can strum all 6 strings. You still hear that little bit of a mute in there, but I generally try to target strings 1 through 4, but if I hit the open A, it doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, just only play strings 1 through 4. All right, the first rhythm, this is how it sounds. All right, and if I was going to count along, I would go 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. You might ask yourself, well, why are you strumming down sometimes up? How am I supposed to know the difference? Typically on a downbeat, or basically on the downbeat would be on 1, 2, 3, 4, you're typically going to be strumming down. And then on the offbeats or the ands, you're going to be strumming up. So you'd be going like down on the downbeat, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you were playing the and, you'd be going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you put them together, you're basically just following your foot going 1 and 2 and 3. Now normally you shouldn't be, jumping your leg up like that. If I tap my foot, you can't see it right now. So basically, you're going down on the downbeats, up on the ands. So for this rhythm, it's the same thing, just 2 times in a row. So on beat number 1, we have a quarter note. That quarter note, it takes up the entire first beat. So you're just going to go 1, then you're going to wait for the second beat, and coming in on the second beat, you have 2 eighth notes. Eighth notes are half of a beat. It's basically, if you take a quarter note, chop it in half, you end up with 2 eighths. So for beat number 2, you're going to go down, up, and you're going to count it 2 and then for beat number 3, we have a quarter note, so we just go down, and that takes up 3. That takes up the whole beat. And then on 4 again, we have 2 eighth notes, so you're going to go 4 and. So you're going to end up going 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. You really want to make sure that you're tapping your foot. Some people like say, well, can I tap my heel? That's fine. I typically tap my toes, but either way is fine. You really want to sync up. You want to sync up what this hand is doing and what your tapper is doing. Basically, whether you're tapping down or up. So I tell people to think of it like it's that your foot is attached to a string, and when you pull up, you're pulling your foot up. So you want to sync those two. A lot of people, they play the rhythms and they don't really sync with their foot. They're not playing to their own beat. Like I want you to be like, sorry, you can hear my equipment here banging around. But basically you want to play to your own beat and keep in sync with your own time, your own foot tap. So once again, that rhythm goes 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. 2 and 3, 4 and. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the intermediate version of that rhythm. Okay, in the second rhythm, the intermediate rhythm, it's going to sound like this. And the only difference between that and the basic rhythm is in the second and fourth beat, instead of just going 2 and, I took the second eighth note and I split it into 2/16. So it would sound like 2 and or 4 and. All right, so let's go ahead and break down the rhythm. For the first beat, it's going to be just a quarter note, so it's just 1. And then on beat number 2, you're going to have an eighth note followed by 2/16. So you're going to count it. You're going to go 2 and. And if you're like, well, how am I supposed to know how to do that? Typically, if you had all 4 16th notes, you would go 2 E and you would have 4 strums, basically going down, up, 2 E and but what we're doing is we're leaving out the E, so we're going 2 E and then on beat number 3, we come down on a quarter note. That takes up the entire beat. For beat number 4, it's the exact same rhythm as beat number 2, and it's going to go 4 and or down, up. One thing that's very important to remember, that when you're tapping 16th notes, like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4, when you bring your foot up, typically you bring your foot up on the and of the beat. When you're doing 16th notes, you want to bring your foot up or your toes up on the So you want to come down on 2. You're going to go 2 E and You bring your foot up on the What that does is that helps keep you in tempo. It keeps you being able to strum much smoother. You don't want your foot on the and then you still have to go down, up. It gets a little confusing to your foot. So you want to go. So if you just want to practice 16th notes, just go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and really making sure that you bring your foot up or your heel up or your toes up on the So once again, that rhythm sounds like 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the advanced rhythm. All right, for the advanced rhythm, I just punched it up a bit, and it looks like I changed the third beat. Instead of just doing a quarter note on the third beat, I added in 2/16 followed by an eighth, and then I tied it to the of the second beat. So the rhythm's going to sound like this. All right, so what I'm doing here is once again on beat number 1, it's just a quarter note. That takes up the whole beat number 1. For beat number 2, it's the same as in the intermediate, the second rhythm. You're going to go 2 and then for beat number 3, normally you would play that down, up, down and go 3 E and. But what I did is I tied what comes in on 3. I tied that to the last part of the second beat. So I'm going to go 2 and 3 E and. Once again, that's 2 and skip 3 E and 4 and. For beat number 4, it's the same as in the second one. It goes an eighth followed by 2/16. So it's going to go 4 and. All right, so let me play that rhythm one more time. 1, 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 E and 4 and. All right, so the most confusing thing about this is probably the tie that's happening between beats 2 and 3. So what I do is I make sure I tap hard on beat 3, right where 3 is, so I can feel where 3 is. Even though I'm not playing it, I need to feel where it is. So I'm going to go 1, 2 and 3 E and 4 and. So I need to feel. I'm going to go 3 E and 3 E and. So I can feel the 3 E and 3 E and. So I'm going to go 1, 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Now I would consider this one a lot more complicated than the first two. So if you can't play the last one, that's fine. Just have fun, play the first one, try all of them. But I will be doing a lot more of these videos in this series. So if you find any of these too confusing, I'll be doing just beginner lessons, and then I'll be doing just intermediate, and then only advanced in separate videos. So then you can kind of specify and pick out what level that you want to work on. And that's how I played the advanced rhythm. Thanks for taking the time to check out our first video in the series for how to strum guitar. If you would like to get further notifications of when we put out more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel down below. And once again, thanks for taking the time to check out this video, and we hope to see you again.